Spotify playlist video, but I kept having issues with the computer. My computer kept crashing. And actually, the video that I'm about to do now, again, I did that and there was issues with that. So I'll probably more than likely do the Spotify playlist video tomorrow night. I just won't have time to do it this morning, so I'll do that one tomorrow night. But I'll try to knock out this video and another video on a very important subject sometime before this night is over. So this video is based on um, the new Queen Latifah Equalizer series. And when I originally seen the trailer, probably a couple of weeks ago, it really didn't hit me hard enough. It wasn't bad or anything like that, but it really didn't make that big of an impact on me to where it was something that I had to watch. But whenever you watch anything on YouTube, you get targeted, marketed, and they start sending you other videos that are sort of like related to the subject matter of the video you watched. So I started getting like a lot of review videos when the pilot came out. Uh, I watched a couple. Some of them were okay. Some of them they were being fair, but then you had a few that were just downright racist. They didn't like the idea that the Equalizer person starring the Equalizer was black. They didn't like the idea that she was a woman. And they making it seem like the Equalizer was this super well known show. But let's go back. I remember the original Equalizer. The original Equalizer TV series came out like in the mid '80s, maybe like 84, 85, something like that. And it was starting this guy from England, Edward Woodward, something like that. And I was never really a big fan of it, but I did see it a couple of times, and it always struck me odd that they had this 70-year-old, elderly looking white guy doing all this stuff. Because to me, he looked like he was about 70 years old. He looked at 70 years old. And then I'm thinking about it now because I'm doing this review. I was like, was this guy really 70 years old? Or did he look 70 years old to me when I was 12? So I did some, quick research, looked at the pictures. And even though it said that, during the time of the TV series, he was 55, but he looked at 70 years old in the pictures. So he did look like a 70-year-old elderly white guy doing all this stuff. So the Denzel Washington movies that they made a few years ago, Denzel Washington was much more believable because even though Denzel was like in his, at the time, I think late 50s, early 60s, he had more of a physical presence and he was more believable than the old white guy they had doing it in the 80s. Denzel had more of a physical presence. You can see him pulling off the physical things he needed to do. And keep in mind, Denzel Washington was a basketball player in college, so he has besides being an actor, he does have a background as an athlete as well. So that probably helped him pull it off. So he looked much more believable than an old white guy in the 80s. So flash forward now, CBS, who was the channel for the original series back in the 80s. So they probably more than likely they do still own the rights to it, and they wanted to do a reboot. And they say, well, hey, well, let's use a woman, make her black. So now we got the whole woman thing covered, and we got the whole diversity thing covered. And yeah, usually I don't like that because it's I call it a cheap and half-hearted way to try to make something diverse. So it's more like, okay, give us credit because we're trying to do this, but they're doing it in a half-hearted way, because the best way to really do this would be to develop a show that's based off a black woman, probably best written by a black woman, but they don't want to do that. They want to like retain their old white guy writers, and in some cases white woman writers, and let them do it. And so they're limited in what they can do as far as like representing um, uh, diverse groups of people, because they can only really write from the standpoint of a white man, of a white woman, you know. So yeah, I kind of get that, but at the same time, to white people who mad about this, okay. So we went from like movies and TV series being 100% white to like 99% white. So okay, get over it. There's a lot of white shows with white men and women that you can go watch. There's no shortage of white people on TV, no shortage of white people on movies. So you can get your feel of white people in entertainment real easy. So yeah. So I'm not really trying to hear any crying about that. Now let's go back to the TV series. So I watched it, and it's definitely not trash. I'm not saying it's a masterpiece or anything like that, by no stretch of the imagination. But it's not all that bad. It's pretty good, and I'm gonna give you the things about it that are like good, and I'm gonna give you the things about it that are like problematic. So let's start off with the good. Queen Latifah, she does a good job acting in this, and they got a lot of other well-known actors and actresses to participate in this TV series. A lot of them do a good job. Who are the more well-known? Christopher North, who was on the Sex in the City series. Um, Adam Goldberg, he played in a lot of stuff. He's in this. He does a good job. They have a young Asian woman. She does a really good job in this. The black girl who was the centerpiece of the plot of this story, she does a good job. The girl who plays Queen Latifah, Queen Latifah's teenage daughter, she's well acted. So it's well acted all the way around. Storyline is pretty good. It's paced well. It's a good mixture of action and drama in this. At no point did it feel as though it was dragging. So altogether, it's pretty good. It's pretty watchable. It's pretty entertaining. So now for the parts that could be problematic, and this I'll save the biggest problematic part for the last thing I'll talk about. But one of the problems that maybe most people are not going to really catch on to this, because most people, when they watch something, they want to be entertained, and you might have people who watch it just because they like Queen Latifah, so they may not have a problem with this thing that I'm about to bring up. But like a lot of the stuff that happened in this TV show, at least in this episode, um, it comes about by chance or by coincidence, like somebody being at the right place at the right time for something to happen, for their action to take place. Like the centerpiece or the start of the plot of this story, like the girl who Queen Latifah gonna end up protecting. Uh, she was getting off work. She was closing up, taking off the trash, and suddenly she sees a man running towards her. He's being chased by two other people who shooting at him, and he eventually ends up being shot, dead in the street. The two Two killers see her. They try to kill her. They try to kill her. She hide. They don't get her. She goes to the police. Um, Police is like she's the only witness that's seen something and come forward, and they got some video footage from one camera. And keep in mind, this is downtown New York, and somebody being chased and shot in downtown New York. Just like in downtown San Francisco, downtown LA, or any other major city, it'll be more than one person who'll see it, and definitely more than one video camera, that's set up. So that's, mainly how she get involved. She just happened to see this crime committed, and her connection with how she got connected with Queen Latifah happened by happenstance as well. Queen Latifah happened to be talking to a colleague of hers, and she happened to see the young lady who she's gonna help, who she don't know at the time. She goes into this dark alleyway with this guy, and in that part of the scene, the young lady is going to that guy to get a. She heard that this guy does identities. So instead of going to a neutral, safe place, she decided to meet the guy at a dark place in the middle of nowhere. And so the guy takes her in the back, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna give you the identity, but me and my friends gonna have fun with you first." And suddenly Queen Latifah comes in there. Hey, let the girl go, and she ends up taking out these 8 or 9 grown men at one time. So there's a lot of things like that, and then it's like one more towards the end of the show where the victim they find some note that the victim has. Um, on part of the note, he indicates he was at some kind of nightclub or something like that. They figure that out, but also it's like a strange series of numbers that are written down too, and they couldn't figure out what that was. So towards the end of the show, Queen Latifah is having an argument with her teenage daughter. She picks up this book, and she looked at the book, a book from the library, and she realized the the number she see that was on a note left by the murdered victim was the same as that's on the library book. That it's a code, a library code, I guess, based upon where a book would be on a shelf in a library. So it's just stuff like that happens, stuff that happens by chance. It's like if the girl didn't go outside at that time, she wouldn't have seen the murder. If Queen Latifah wasn't there talking to her colleague, she wouldn't have seen the girl going there with the man. If she wasn't arguing with her daughter and picked up a book, she wouldn't have put that clue together about the library card. So it's stuff like that happens throughout this episode. And like I said, somebody who's a really big Queen Latifah fan, or somebody who's just watching the show because the show is interesting, they may not have a problem with that. So that might not be a problem for them, but for people who looking to critique the show, they'll pick up on that. But the biggest issue of the show is this: whenever it's called for Queen Latifah to do anything physical, it just don't look believable. Like the scene where she took down 8 or 9 grown men, that didn't look believable. It didn't. I didn't think for 1 minute Queen Latifah can do that. And then there was another scene where um, she sort of she goes inside a building and she finds a bomb, and the bomb is about to explode, and she had to run out of the building before the explosion happened. And it's like I didn't buy it either. As slow as Queen Latifah was running, it, it they gotta figure out a better way to make the action scenes they want Queen Latifah to do to really look like things that people would be able to believe that Queen Latifah can do, because in regular scenes, the way she walk around like she's somebody's mama, like she's somebody's auntie who sit down at a desk all day. She don't look like she's a highly trained CIA agent or highly trained assassin. She don't look like that. She just don't. So it don't look believable. I mean, from that, but from the other regular acting she do, where she has to be smart and intelligent, she does that stuff really good. It's just the action scene, the action part, she don't pull off as well because she just don't look like she can do that. Somebody they could have got a couple of other people, like Mary J. Blige would have been a real good person to have doing this, because I've seen Mary J. Blige act. She looked believable. She looks believable as far as the acting part, and she's in physically good enough shape to pull off the action parts. And these other two people I'll name, um, 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 Muhammad Ali's daughter, Layla Ali. She can pull off the physical parts. I don't know how good of an actor she is, but physically she would be able to do the physical parts that they wanted to do because she's an athlete. Uh, she's not much of an actor as far as that go. Serena Williams, she would be another one. I've seen Serena Williams act before. I think she would have been good enough to act in this, and we definitely know she can pull off the physical stuff. It would look much more believable with her doing the physical stuff than Queen Latifah, because Queen Latifah just don't look believable doing a lot of this stuff. And that's really the biggest issue with this show, is that the physical stuff, Queen Latifah don't look believable doing it. Everything else is really not an issue because the acting is good. Stories seem to be good. It's watchable. It's entertaining. All the other supporting actors are really good. They just got to figure out a way to come up with physical stuff that it looks believable that Queen Latifah can do. But other than that, as far as a rating, I'll rate it, if I'm grading out of out of 1 to 10. I'll give it a 7 because it's not bad. It's about average, maybe a little bit better than average. Like I said, good acting, supporting actors are good. Storyline is pretty good. Like I said, the main problem is that the physical things you don't really buy Queen Latifah doing. Now, if they can figure out a way to correct that, they might have something on their hands. But other than that, I think it's pretty good. I think it's watchable. I think it probably if I'm predicting, I'll say it'll last maybe about a year. I say you might get a good one season out of this if it was on Hulu or Netflix. I may say it can last longer, but right now I'm saying it'll probably last maybe like at least 1 year. All right, that's it. Peace. Till